Hey everybody, JRR here, and I'm using the basics on my camera and my microphone this time because I'm going over a correction over what I stated earlier about the Kefka Sephiroth kind of battle thing. First off, line item 1, I made a mistake on Kefka giving orders to have the people of Cyan's kingdom killed. No, Kefka did that shit himself. He did it himself. And unlike many other bosses from games, Kefka just keeps popping up. You find out he pops up randomly, or somewhat randomly, and you had to beat him that way, but he doesn't die. You just beat him. It's like, boom, okay, he falls back. Which I brought that up before, but I'm just correcting a couple things. One thing I have heard a lot from this current thing that I brought up, I knew I wasn't original with bringing it up, but I liked bringing it up because I figured someone else would have brought it up, and a lot of people have. But one of the big things that people bring up constantly is that Sephiroth was the first of his look. Long white hair, trench coat, long sword. I wanted to say I agree with them, but then I looked back over and I found a character from Final Fantasy 6/3, whatever, called Setzer. Pretty much, this guy had the slots option, which came up when you used Tifa's limit break. Slots came up pretty much. Surprise, surprise. And I kind of looked at this and I go, wait a minute, Setzer has white hair and he has a trench coat. The King of Figaro, Edgar, he disguised himself. When he was disguised himself as a thief, he seemed to have generally the same thing. He had long white hair, but it was in a ponytail. So Sephiroth wasn't exactly the first with the look. He was probably the first that wore leather with the look. So yeah, I'll give that. First with leather, with a leather trench coat and a sword. And as Razorfist said, buckles that serve no fucking purpose whatsoever, which is true. Now, on record, a lot of people will say, well, Sephiroth is a far more developed character. Well, let's be honest, people. When you got Advent Children, the game itself, Final Fantasy VII, and Crisis Core, that by itself is 3 times the information that you get to have on this one character, as opposed to Kefka, who only had the game. So when I went with my comparison, I eliminating Advent Children and Crisis Core from the whole thing, just from the game knowledge, Cloud beat Sephiroth twice. Just from the game, he beat him twice. Well, Sephiroth got beat a total of 4 times in the game, but Cloud himself beat Sephiroth by himself, one-on-one, twice. Oh, that doesn't make sense. They make a reactor, Cloud try to assassinate him. Yeah, that didn't kill him. So, stabbed him. Sephiroth walked out. Cloud engaged. Sephiroth stabbed him. And before Cloud would die, he grabbed his sword and killed Sephiroth in one way, shape, or form. Now again, I'm not going by Crisis Core and I'm not going by Advent Children, which means I'm going basically right off the game, which Cloud grabbed the sword, forced himself back down, and chucked Sephiroth into the reactor via his own sword. I'm sorry, that's a little bit more badass than Sephiroth getting pushed into a wall and it's like, I can't want to jump in. Yeah, whatever. So yes, the point goes to Sephiroth for his will to live to get a job done. The point goes to Kefka for being fucking persistent. So the look of Sephiroth being original, I couldn't agree with that because Setzer walked around with a trench coat and long white hair. I think they try to say Locke had white hair, and when Edgar was hiding himself, he had white hair. So, hey, it's not a big thing there. Now I kind of brought up the whole Tifa using slots like Setzer did for the limit break. Well, if I may take a moment to point out, a lot of characters look a lot like other characters in the Final Fantasy series. They just do. I'm sorry. Or a mix of said characters. Example, Sabin is the fighter, but he has yellow, spiky hair. Not as spiky as Cloud's, but still spiky. So guess what? You got Cloud the swordsman with spiky yellow hair, and the fighting skill went to Tifa. But to use Tifa's limit break, you have to use Setzer's slot ability. Anyone else starting to get a little confused? Okay. Cyan is a knight. Very skilled in the sword. Who else is skilled with swords in Final Fantasy VII? You have been enlightened. I only point this out because when I said I compared basically off of what they did, Sephiroth has off-screen kills. He had about, I don't know, what was it? I'm going to give about 30 for the amount of blood that was found on the reactor floor. That's if Sephiroth did it. But Kefka on screen managed to kill 30 people by by getting something made to take over a magic user. Now I said initially when I went to compare the achievements, which was another error, I said she leveled a town. No, I looked up in the game. She killed 30 soldiers in 2 minutes, or in less than 2 minutes. That is pretty damn good. And yet here comes Kefka, and he takes a crown and pretty much takes her over. And then commands her with 2 other people to go into a town, which they pretty much powerhouse their way through everybody. Anyone who gets in the way, they get mulled over. Until they get to the Esper, and the Esper kind of destroys the crown, which breaks her free of control. Now, the last actual correction. See, I'm going to leave y'all to that because I'm going to step back, and y'all are going to look over and go, okay, you're going to start comparing stuff like Yuffie and Riku. Well, what about Yuffie and Riku? Well, they're both thieves. But then you got Locke, the treasure hunter. So, I don't know. You could easily argue that maybe Yuffie was the kid between Locke and Celeste. You can argue that because that's just a guess. That's just bullshit out there. But you can see what I'm saying. A lot of the character designs are carried over between the Final Fantasies. Not just class, but the designs themselves. I'm just putting it out there. So basing things off of, say, Sephiroth is the most original looking character out there. No, Sephiroth was the most famous because, let's think about this. A lot of money went into Final Fantasy VII. Let's just be honest. A lot of money went into Final Fantasy VII. And then when it became a mega smash hit, well, gee, put all that money into it and promoted it more than you promoted movies, they made spin-offs. Crisis Core, Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, and then, of course, Cloud was implemented into every genre that they could possibly find. Final Fantasy Tactics, that was one that he was put in. Urga Hides, or whatever the fuck it's called. He was put in that as a fighter, and then Tifa was added because of that. Kingdom Hearts, he's like a mainstay sub-character that people love. But again, it goes by how it's published and how much backing they get. Now, the last correction I was going on about before I hopped off of that, the last correction, which I do apologize, because I was reading notes on the thing, I said it was Kefka's goal to pretty much kill off everyone on the planet and fly it around like a spaceship. No, that was Sephiroth's goal, because that was his mom's goal. Kefka's goal was pretty much wanting to take over the world. He wanted to be a god, he wanted to take over the world, whatever. Well, sorry, he didn't even want to take over the world. He just wanted to be a god. He wanted to be like the end all be all. But with that being said, I'm going to point out one other thing, and I'm trying to be fair, and I am. I'm trying to be as fair as I can be. But like I said earlier, when it comes to a fight, if it comes to fighting, hands down, I'm giving the actual fight to Sephiroth. Now, when I compare characters, I compare them on objectivity. That's my thing. If they have a goal and they do it, okay, they win. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to argue. Well, Kefka sucks. Why? Because he became God? Well, yeah, that was his goal. Seriously. Now, granted, Sephiroth got killed twice in the same game by the same guy. Twice in the same game by the same guy. Twice. Twice! By the same guy! The same guy! But I know what some people come up with because they come up with in a different conversation. It took your whole party of 8 people or 8 to 9 people to defeat Sephiroth. It took 3 parties of 4 members to go around in Kefka's place to help each other to get up to Kefka. So by default, you need 12 people. By default. Or unless you're really confident with your 3 people, you can do it with 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 people by themselves, not in a group. 3 people by themselves. If you're confident enough to pull that off, go for it. Good on you. Me personally, I'm not that confident to do that because the fact of paralysis, death, which of course should have been #1, but most games, if you get hit with paralysis or something that they need someone to break, you're fucked. So if you think on that logic, you need at least 6 people. It's okay, 6 to 8. So yeah, the fact that you had to break off into 3 groups in the first place to go after Kefka tells you that his shit's a little bit more organized than he lets on. Kefka is a little bit more of the person that thinks than he lets on. Yes, he is an insane clown. But then again, Deadpool is fucking insane, and how far out does he plan shit? I mean, let's be honest. Let's call it where we see it. I mean, I'll give you the example. When Kefka was jailed, and everyone kind of came by, well, your party came by and kind of would mock him and all that, he's just sitting there like, I can't do anything, I'm jailed. So you go out, you get the espers to relax and talk to you and all that happy stuff, and then you go back to the town that a lot of people are in, and what do you hear? That infamous laugh from Kefka. Now you're sitting here going, okay, didn't your ass get arrested? You find out later on that Kefka orchestrated the whole fucking thing. Again, like Deadpool, who's fucking insane. Kefka is out of his damn mind, but he plans things. He plots things out. I heard someone say earlier that Kefka was based off of many comic book characters from America. I can honestly agree with that. But then again, Sephiroth is based off of a couple character concepts from 6, which is probably based off of concepts on 5, which is based off concepts on 4, 3, 2. You get the point. No matter how you look at it, how the character designs come out, you cannot escape the fact that a lot of money went into 7. You cannot escape that fact. You can sit here and argue until you're blue in the face, but when you have a company pushing something and they're sinking money into it, of course it's going to come out better than, say, the standard stuff that the companies were doing earlier. Of course it's going to get far more attention. And as I was pointed out, especially by Razor Fist, Final Fantasy VII is a lot of people's first roleplay game. First. So they expect everything else in the genre to be emo. I'm blonde, I can't be emo. But I'm so upset and I can't do this and I can't do that. And, oh my gosh, do we tell people? Oh my lord. How did you get here? And I've already gone over that with the cloud rant. So, I put my corrections out there. That's what this video is for. And I've also pointed out a couple of things, or a couple counterpoints that I've wanted to point out for a while. Final Fantasy VI took, what, at least 12 characters? I think you get 16. You have a total of 16, but you can use 12 because there are three groups. So, on the argument on it takes all all 8 to 9 characters in Final Fantasy VII to beat Sephiroth, it takes 12 people to get through Kefka's tower. Fortunately, you can put your characters in a list. And when you're fighting Kefka, if someone dies on the way up the tree, they tag out. They tag out. I'm just putting it out there. Now, if the team gets wiped out on one part of the tree, then you're screwed. But if someone dies going up the tree, that person gets tagged out with another person. But I'm going to leave it at that because I'm going to start ranting on other points which aren't relative to the Kefka Sephiroth debate. I'm just throwing it out there. Sephiroth's look is not as original as people may claim it to be. Now, granted, a lot of people were copying Sephiroth's look. Let's see, trench coat, sword, white hair. I'm thinking, oh, I don't know, Alucard. But he doesn't have a trench coat. No, he has a cape. You're right. But he has white hair and his sword. Okay. Let's think. I gotta fix that. I gotta put a trench coat on, right? Dante! How about Dante? You know Devil May Cry. No, Dante is an original character because I stop. Stop. Before you blab on. Dante wears a red trench coat, has white hair, and uses a sword. Granted, it's not fucking Mercenmain, Masamoon, whatever the fuck his sword is. It's not fucking 12 miles long where he can stab people 3 buildings away. But he still has a fucking sword. So don't tell me that character design is not based off of Sephiroth in one way, shape, or form. Like I said, Sephiroth's look is based off Setzer. You want to give someone more of a badass look? What do? You put him in leather. Let's say it this way. If you grab Setzer and you turn him into a goth and give him a sword, Sephiroth! Sorry. You get my point. Sephiroth's look is not as original as everyone tries to make it out to be. It's not. Look at Setzer. But I'm going to leave it at that. I've done my corrections on my other video via here. And if I had a clip of Invader Zim when he took over Mars to squish all the people on planet Earth, I would have put that up there because, well, what did Sephiroth try to do? Try to kill everyone on the planet and drive the planet around because... drive the planet around the cosmos because his mom wanted to take the planet and drive it around the cosmos. Hi, I'm Zim. I'm going to take over a planet and squish everyone on planet Earth with Mars because it's a planet that moves like a ship and it's going to crush people. And yeah, I should really find that clip and put that up here. Later, everyone.